So welcome to today's episode and today's show. What do I have for you guys today, and what would I be discussing with you guys? What I will be discussing with you guys today is about the National Grazing Reserve Council Bill. This is a bill you should be very interested in. This is something you should put your mind to because it can define the course of our lives, our families' ancestral lands in coming years. Aside from terrorist insurgency ravaging our nation, Nigeria, there is the unsaid farmers' herders crisis that has claimed thousands of lives in Nigeria. In a 2020 report by International Center for Migration, about 247,000 persons had been displaced by this farmers' herders conflict only in Benue State, apart from other states that has been affected by this conflict.
Since the 2nd of January, we have been attacked by herdsmen. Nobody from that community can reside in their place.
Amnesty International also reported that between January to September 2018, about 1,813 persons had been killed as a result of this conflict across 17 various states in Nigeria. That is not all. Between 2017 and May 2020, 645 attacks were carried out, 2,539 people were killed, and 254 kidnappings were recorded in various states across Nigeria.
Which government that will not protect its citizens? What kind of government is that? When the youth start shouting, you say they are making trouble.
What is the cause of this farmers' herders crisis? So there has been conflict between farmers and herders in Nigeria, particularly people in the northwest region. Herders want to move from one place. They are nomads. They move from one place to another. But when these cattle step into other people's lands, the farmers get angry and it results into conflict, which eventually leads to death of these farmers and sometimes the death of the herders. In retaliation, some of these farmers go back after they have been killed, their community ransacked, people kidnapped. Some of these farmers go back to the camps of these herders, slaughter their cows, and this is the scenario that has been happening in Benue State and some other places in northwest. Nasarawa, for instance, also had similar situations.
Fulani man will be riding cow with cutlasses, AK-47. Nobody will say anything. They have another immunity that they are operating that we Nigerians, we don't understand.
In the wisdom of the federal government, President Buhari thinks, how can we solve this situation? And he comes up with the National Grazing Reserve Council Bill. A bill is like a proposition, deliberations by lawmakers that eventually become law when 2/3 majority of the House agrees that it becomes law. And when it becomes law, it becomes binding on you and I, whether we are ignorant or in the know of this law or not. As you know, ignorance of the law is not an excuse. There are problems with this bill. The Grazing Reserve Council Bill had been in the House since 2016, and it is proposing that federal government should have the power to walk into any land, take control of this land, and deprive you of the ownership of this land, whether they are ancestral lands or not, in any regions whatsoever. Give you a compensation, not necessarily the worth of the land, but what the federal government deems fit that is enough for the land. Give you this compensation, and in return you leave this land for the nomads to be used as ranch and for the purpose of grazing. How does this make sense to you? The alleged enemies who had slaughtered probably our fathers, our mothers, our sisters, and our neighbors, suddenly becoming our neighbors and doing their business and taking your lands, the power of the federal government. This is what the National Grazing Reserve Council Bill is saying, and that bill is a gross violation of your fundamental human rights, particularly your right to own property, and also it is against the Land Use Act. How do I mean? The Land Use Act states that all lands within the territory of a state is vested in the governor of that state. So the governor holds land in trust for you, and that is why you have to get C of OO for each land you purchase within the territory of a state. But federal government is saying with this bill, if passed into law, they can override the power of the governor, which the Land Use Act had given to the governor, which does not make sense. National Grazing Reserve Bill is an illegal bill, and in my opinion should not even go ahead to become a law. It will deprive people of their land and create more conflict, because people will not watch land that originally become to them being taken forcefully from them and given compensation not worth it, and given to persons for the purpose of ranching. This is the summary of this episode. The summary of this episode is that the National Grazing Reserve Council Bill is an illegal bill and should not even stand the test of time, should not even be up for debate. The intention for the bill is right, but the steps and the wordings of that bill is wrong. You cannot walk into people's land because you have the almighty power and under the guise of public interest. But how is it public interest when you take people's land and give up to personal and private individuals for other purposes to favor a particular region of the country? It doesn't make sense to me if you ask me. What do you think? Do you think the National Grazing Reserve Council Bill is an end to the elders farmers crisis, or you think it will create more problems? Don't forget to like, share and send these videos to some persons, because the more informed you are about the legal system in Nigeria, the more you are to take better decisions concerning your rights and how to approach them. Thank you. The name remains Bernard for your own very legal channel, LRI Bernard, Legal Rights Informant. Stay tuned till we see again.